Casa De Klub. I like that. Nice.
Hey, we like that too, coming at you, something so brand new. We in a new stew, and the vibe so true, kinda like a Zion, he had to go grab two. He with that Arizona Wildcat, in that upside down hat, and how many have I had staying with me? Round two. It's the price of admission on the Casa De Klub.
Welcome back to another off-season episode of Casa De Klub. Today we got Cleveland Guardians outfielder, three-time Gold Glover, Kwan joining us. Steven, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me.
How's the off-season going for you right now? Getting excited to ramp things back up?
Yeah, for sure. It started off a little rocky. We had my fiance had 9 weddings since May, and then I had 4 this off-season. So you know how that goes, kind of like that baseball short window. Everybody's got to jam-pack their weddings into it. We started that, but ever since the new year, we've been able to stay in Chicago, just no more traveling. So it's rolling along right now.
That's a lot of weddings in one off-season.
Yeah, no, it's about that time right now.
So you have a guy that you work out with in Chicago, and then when do you venture out to Arizona for start of spring training?
Yeah, last year we all tried to go real early since it was Vogt's first year. I think we were out there maybe like the 6th or the 8th. Jose was there like the 4th. So when he's there, it's pretty much like, all right, everybody's got to get there around that time. But yeah, probably get there around like the 8th, the 10th, kind of that time. Still try to get there early. Yeah, I'm thinking that time right now.
So where you're at right now in your career, you know, three great seasons to start things off, heading into this off season and the 2025 season. What are you working on as a player now that you're, starting to figure out what makes you great in the MLB? I saw something last year after 2023, lowest strikeout percentage in the league, and then you come in 2024, big uptick in home runs, OPS, slugging percentage. So now, fast forward a year, you've kind of put everything together. What are you working on heading into 25?
Yeah, trying to build off that for sure. Just trying to build that engine up. Last offseason, really tapped into like a bat speed program. This year, refining that. The idea behind that being there's definitely some more swing and miss I can have in my game. The low strikeout stuff is great, but if you're getting out on the first pitch, you don't strike out, but also you didn't have a productive at bat. So like making sure it's okay to swing and miss, foul a ball off if I'm getting an A swing off, just building that. And then with this last year, I had 2 injuries, one with the hammy, which is I've had hamstring injuries really my whole career, even going back to college, and a little oblique thing. Just trying to maximize everything I can with my body, trying to understand deficiencies, where I'm not, activating well, getting just more body awareness, just trying to really maximize on that. Really trying to echo your best abilities availability. I want to make sure I'm available for all 162 and beyond. That's going to be really important to me.
Was that a difficult thing for you to grasp? It's okay to swing and miss? Being as good of a contact hitter as you are, shifting the mindset away from, maybe not away from it, but accepting something that's different from that. Did you go through a little bit of an adjustment period with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was like my, identity kind of coming into the league. And I think once you kind of get away from that, it's like, okay, well, if I swing and miss a little more, do I lose my identity? Am I going to lose my spot in the big leagues? Like, this is my thing. This is what I'm like supposed to be good at. I think it's just trusting that I'm still going to have that in my back pocket, but for sure, like kind of having an identity crisis. It's like, am I willing to even do that? Like, I'll still probably be okay if I don't swing and miss as much. If I just had the same years I did in 2023, things would probably be okay. But, singles don't win games. You need to have that kind of slug, and it's a time and place for it too. Like, 2-0-0-0, really get that A swing off. But knowing that I still have that, 2 strikes to be able to make contact made me feel a lot more comfortable going out and getting 1-0-1, even 1-0, and swinging and missing. But it was definitely a big adjustment period. Last year, I had to like practice off the pitching machine, like swinging and missing. Cause I think it's like,
really?
First of all, it's embarrassing. And like, first off, like, I think an identity of that, you don't want to swing and miss because it's embarrassing. You just have to get over that. It's like, Javi Baez is going to get his hack off no matter what. And if he makes contact, it's going to go far. Like kind of same thing. Like he doesn't care. I know he doesn't care.
For sure.
I got to be that same way. Because if you leave in the zone and you get a good swing off, something really good's going to happen.
For sure.
So they bring you in the cage and they say, just start swinging and missing?
That was kind of my idea. I had a guy in Chicago where it was just me and him. we were just trying to throw stuff at the wall and see what happens. And like, cause I was doing like the blast motion stuff where you can record your bat speed, and off the machine, it was like the numbers were just pathetic. Like it was like, I think average bat speed in the big leagues is like 72 miles an hour. And I was at like 61. I'm like, yo, this is not where I want to be at right now. And it's like, I think I'm so focused on hitting the ball, I'm like decelerating my bat to make contact. So it's like, what if I just like swung and missed it a couple and see if my bat speed ticks up a little bit? And then, you know, it went up, it didn't go that much. It's like 65, but here I am getting excited about like a 4 mile per hour jump. It's like, okay, like this is where it's at. Like there's a trade-off between making contact and swinging hard that, you know, I need to toe the line between that, but just get comfortable in that and see where that can take us.
Yeah. With spring training last year, did it kind of validate it for you where that approach that you worked on through the offseason is something you could take into the season, or was it still not something you were fully confident in come end of March, April?
No, it's funny that you bring that up. I was just talking to one of our hitting coaches about this, just kind of reminding what happened. But I broke like 11 bats in spring because like I think my bat speed was up, but I was also trying to be a little more aggressive at the plate. So like I'm going first pitch swinging, I cap a ball and like my bat breaks, and I'm like, okay, well my bat speed's higher, but like I'm not finding the barrel very much. So I kind of hit like it was kind of hitting the panic button a little bit in spring. It's like, okay, do we need to dial this back a little bit? Like, what's going on? And what we ended up realizing is that, like, you know, maybe I don't just go hack first pitch off a guy I've never seen before and just swing to swing. There needs to be a little bit of a balance with that. So I didn't get that validation really until maybe like the second week of season. The exit velos were coming off harder. BP was consistent. I was holding that kind of stuff a little better. But yeah, spring was definitely kind of like, oh God, like what have I done? Like I just have an off season of terrible work for nothing.
How much value did you put into the batting practice throughout the year? You just said, you know, that you would kind of check how things were going based on BP. Was that a tool that you used to kind of confirm where you were at?
Yeah, for sure. I think Jose does it really well. He doesn't just take a bunch of rounds, just take some rounds. Like he's really good at just taking like intentional rounds. If he's good, like he's done in the cage. He doesn't even hit on-field BP. That was kind of my thing where I think before it was like, I'm in the big leagues. I'm hitting BP at progressive. Like this is so cool. And you just want to like soak up as much time as you can. But at some point it's like, okay, I need to take 4 rounds, taking 4 rounds of 6. First round's going to be this, second round's this and that. And then just getting the checklist done and making sure the ball is flying off the right way. I think it was hard for like the days that it wasn't feeling good, just to like step out of the cage and just be like, okay, I'm done. Like I just fouled 3 balls off. Like I'm only going to do worse by continuing to swing. Like let's end BP outside. I'll revisit it before the game and see what happens. And then whatever we have for the game, we have. But just understanding the swing's not going to be the same every day.
Did you make some mechanical changes too? Because it looked like in 24, like your stride foot would point, like the base of your foot would point towards the pitcher more. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely made some mechanical changes. I guess that was like a byproduct. That wasn't really the focus of like for the foot stuff, but definitely trying to stay in like a better hinge. Before I used to be like really straight up. That was just kind of like how I felt like I got my legs really well. And then over the off season, trying to like get from here and then keeping this hinge throughout and holding my path and my hinge. I thought that was really important. Just to be able to stay in my legs, stay tight. A byproduct of being a really good contact hitter is also being able to like disconnect and manipulate the bat.
Yeah.
Staying in that hinge kind of allowed me to have a better feel of like that tight, strong position and like finish a swing. And again, going back to it, like if it wasn't where I wanted it, just finishing the swing, fouling it off or missing it, that's great. You know, live to fight another day and continue that bat instead of just putting the ball in play. It was that. Yeah, it was really just the hinge. That was a big adjustment for me.
Did you notice pitchers, you know, sequencing you different when you started hitting for power?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my scouting report before in 22 and 23, maybe Corey can attune to this, but I think it was like soft away, away, hit the singles, and then maybe sneak one in just to like, if I'm leaning over, just blow my bat up. I think as the season went on, I got less in those like sneak the balls inside, and it was like, okay, we're not messing with it anymore. It's all away, soft away, backdoor away. And Hedgie was the one who kind of validated that, where it's like, that's kind of the same approach with the rise. It's like, all right, hit your single the other way. Like, we don't care. Like, singles aren't going to beat us. Same with me. I think they had the same idea. fastballs away, off speed away. If you want your single the other way, that's great, but you're not gonna hit the ball over the left fielder's head or over the fence that way. Go for it. And I think in the second half of the year, teams were just buying into that and they were executing. I think sometimes we give pitchers too much credit. Like they have a plan, but they can't execute it. In the second half, I think they were just really executing the pitches, which that's baseball.
Yeah, I do think that in general, the execution part is given too much credit for a lot of guys. But yeah, I remember the approach being to stay away and try to pound them in. The frustrating part is I feel like I'd try to pound you in and you just dump it over the third baseman. I'm like, I just made a good pitch. And
Yeah.
now he's on base. Now he's going to steal second. Then he's going to steal third. And it's basically a triple.
Yeah. I wish I still had those wheels. I feel like I was a lot faster 2 years ago than I am now, but yeah, I guess that's the idea.
You touched on the bat speed. How much do you put into all these numbers now as a hitter? I know, obviously all the pitchers are locked in and, that's what they put their pride in. How much do you put into that? Because a big part of it now is like exit velo, how hard you're hitting the ball. And that's, not what makes you a great hitter.
Yeah. I definitely take stock in a few numbers. I think, again, bat speed is like a big one. If I can get close to like major league average, I'm going to be really happy with it. And it's really just like making sure I have that top end there. Because again, with 2 strikes, I have to decelerate the bat just to put the ball in play. That's going to be my identity. But that 2-0, if I can get close to like a major league average and I can go back and see that, it's like, okay, like I gave that pitch a really good shot on that. Like I'm happy with that. I didn't concede a slower swing just to make contact, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I try not to get into the numbers because honestly, if I dig into that, it's just going to show how like I'm just below average and all those kind of things other than contact and like pitch selection. So it's like, I don't need to go down that rabbit hole. I've already deprecated myself enough on that. Let's just focus on what we can control and then just go from there.
For sure.
You started your big league career 116 pitches without swinging and missing. What's going through your head debuting in the big leagues and no one can get you out? You're not even missing any pitches.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. It was crazy too because like there was definitely some good at bats in there, but also there would be at bats where it's like 0-1 fastball in the middle, 0-2 fastball away. It's like, okay, well I'm in a hole now, and then like slider in the dirt, ass out, single to right. It's like, okay, I did everything wrong there, but like for some reason it's working out. Like those kind of at bats were just like I'm in a dream right now. Like I'm not even doing things right and I'm being rewarded. Like this is crazy. And then unfortunately, like the realist in me is like, okay, well this is gonna end soon. Like is today the day it's gonna end? Is today the day I'm gonna swing and miss? Like it's just like I don't want to be hurt by the fantasy. It's just like I'm just waiting for the day that like it came not crashing down, but like came back to reality because baseball's always gonna regress to the mean. And it started off so hot. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to try to temper this fall to not be as steep as I think it is going to be, but it just has to be because that's baseball.
Yeah, you were aware of the process that was leading to the results, and you didn't feel like that was what you wanted it to be. So it wasn't that you didn't believe that you were, capable of doing that. It just you knew that it wasn't happening the way you wanted it to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. I feel like last year in spring training, aside from making an adjustment with some mechanical stuff, a different mindset at the plate, you're also adjusting to a new manager than who you had for the first couple of years in the big leagues. What was that like? Because Tito was in Cleveland for so long, and then you guys have Stephen Vogt come in last year, and obviously you guys hit the ground running, had a great season. What was the kind of initial period of spring training like for you guys?
Yeah, it was honestly pretty smooth from how he did it. He just has, I guess that's probably how all managers are, but he just had like incredible feel. Like he wasn't the kind of guy, it's like, I'm the new manager, this is how things are going to be, and like you guys are going to listen. It's like, hey guys, like we could have something really special here, but like we got to make sure we're all on the same page. Door was always open kind of guy, was hitting fungos, was like walking around cracking jokes, and like he played just a couple years before. Yeah. So it's like it didn't feel tacky, it felt genuine that he was one of the guys that people like to say. Easy to talk to, and he had his expectations, but it was kind of a tender style of coaching. Not that Tito wasn't a tender style of coaching, but he can get in somebody's ass if he needed to. Yeah. Just be kind of special in that way. But it obviously worked out really well, and I definitely always like to say, like, it's easy when things are going well. Like when the team's winning, of course, manager's going to go great. But
sure.
I felt like our spring was super smooth, and it just took off from there. So we had really good momentum going into the season.
Yeah, I can imagine Tito was a pretty special manager to come up with.
Yeah, no, it was, as I'm sure Corey could attest to. Like he was awesome. he had tremendous feel as well. Like he got in somebody's ass when they needed to, and he could crack a joke, and he knew the exact thing to say when he needed to. I think it was just super validating, especially kind of me coming up. I had a small window to really prove myself, and he was always telling me, like, affirming my skills and like what I could do, and just keep doing what I do right, and things are going to work out. Like hearing that from a Hall of Fame manager as a rookie that's just trying to make his name in the league, like that was everything for me. I owe a lot of my success to him, especially when things weren't going so well.
Yeah, I mean, the level of confidence and comfortableness in your own skin that he instills in everybody is second to none. I think he's going to do some big things in Cincy.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bummer to see him over there, but I know he'll be great.
What is it? I mean, no one knows better than you two. It seems as if every year Cleveland's in a position where they're competing for the playoffs every year. It doesn't matter who's on the team, doesn't matter what the team looks like on paper. Like Cleveland just always finds a way to win. What is that mindset that's always instilled in those Cleveland teams?
Yeah, I think it's probably different from when Corey was there, because not that we don't have talent now, but I mean, you guys had some squads over there. I think for me, what I like to tell people is that like our top dog's Jose, and Jose just cares about playing baseball and winning. And I think when you have really young guys who are trying to make a name for themselves, like there's no ego in the clubhouse. There's no like off the field shenanigans. It's literally like you go to the field, you clock in, you get your work in, you do the little things right, and you clock out. And you have fun doing it. I think when things are really simple and there's no drama going on and there's no like external factors, like you just play baseball and you play free. I think when people are like uptight and you don't want to make the vets mad and you got to walk on eggshells, that's when people don't perform their best. I think just because Jose's at the top and he plays the game the right way, it's like, okay, if he's going to do all these little things, then we have to fall in line and do the same thing, and that's going to produce good baseball.
I think that's spot on. Obviously, from afar now, that team goes as he goes, and it's hard to think of a better guy to be in that position than him. And I think that the organization as well just does a great job of identifying or being comfortable in what they are. They're not going to go out and spend with the top teams in the league. Okay, that's fine. We're not going to make excuses about it. We're going to do the best we can find a way to do with the resources we have, and the results speak for themselves.
100%. I think they care about character too, which is really cool. I don't think a lot of other organizations can say the same thing.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of good people in the org, which I'm really thankful for.
It goes a long ways.
From a player development standpoint, though, collectively, is Cleveland looking at different numbers than most teams, just in terms of production and what they want out of an offense?
I don't know. I don't know what other teams, I guess, are looking at. I know that like when I was in the minors, it was very clear. They made it very clear like what I needed to do to get to the big leagues. So that made it easier than I think if it was just like, hey, like put up some good numbers and make a name for yourself. It was like everybody kind of had a structured path to the big leagues. Even mine early on was impact quality. We had 3 pillars of hitting, and it was swing decisions, contact rate, and impact quality. And I was really good at the contact rate and the swing decisions. It was impact quality that needed improving. And that was a year after I got drafted. It was like, this is what's going to get you the big leagues. Hammer this, find any way you can, and do it. And then obviously last year I had kind of a breakout year following that same formula. So I think they have a good understanding of what they want each player to achieve. But I'm sure it's different for the pitchers. The pitching factory, I'm sure, speaks for itself as well.
I think it's very much the same, and at least from my experience there, is that clearly identifying for each guy what makes them good, how they can achieve, the ultimate goal of getting to the big leagues and being successful there, and then putting a plan in place to do that. I think that's what leads to, in my opinion, good development, in the minor leagues, and then those guys hitting the ground running when they get to the majors.
Yeah, I agree.
I can imagine, though, like through these swing changes and adjustments you've made at the plate, just being a premier defender, having that in your back pocket is probably always a nice feeling. Like, do you even work? Obviously, you put work into the defensive side of the ball, but it seems like it's just something that's come natural to you your whole life. 3 Gold Gloves in 3 years is just unheard of.
Yeah, it definitely. When I couldn't hit very well, that was kind of always the thing I had to fall back on, and I knew I had to try to be helpful on the field in just any way I could. I went back to college. I would come in, pinch bunt. I would pinch defense, like all these kind of things. I think that's just in the DNA to like try to find other ways in hitting to succeed. But I actually dive into the numbers a lot. Our guy, JT McGuire, he does a great job with like the really in-depth outfield analytics. he does a good job of breaking that down and making it digestible to where like before a game, it's not too much work. We're not beating it into the ground with drill work, but we know what we need to do, what wasn't great last series. And then, scouting reports are obviously really good with him as well. So it takes a village for sure. I've also been blessed with some really good center fielders. Miles Straw out in center made my job way easier in left. Jimenez, all I had to do was throw a ball in the infield on a relay, and he's getting the out. Like I said, it takes a whole village, so I can't say it's just me and my own.
You put more pride in the routes or your speed as an outfitter? What do you think matters more at the big league level?
I would say routes, because I'm not a burner. I'm more of a quick guy. I can get like a quick step, but I'm not one of those guys that once he gets striding, I don't hit a sixth gear. It usually just stays at like a fourth gear. But I think those like staying close to the ground, making sure that that step is the right one, I think is really important. And then the glove work I think is really, really important as well, especially like left and right. It's a lot of like hooked balls and like balls that are like they don't have true trajectory. So that last minute adjustment, making sure you can secure the catch, I think is really important. But yeah, I wish I could be speed, but maybe a different lifetime.
The left field there in Cleveland's not the easiest either, with the wall and the angle the fence for the stands is coming in and stuff. You make it look pretty easy though.
No, I don't know if Huddy was there when you were there, but he put the fear of God in me, because the like first week we were there, he was hitting balls off, and I don't know if you remember, but there's like that chain link where the scoreboard's behind, and then there's maybe like maybe like a 3-foot foam padding right above it. So like you can't even plan for it to hit the chain. Like there's balls that'll come off the padding and then it'll go right behind you. So you almost have to be like in between. And I remember I botched like 3 of them during warmups, and he's like, kid, you better figure this out. Like Michael Brantley made this look real easy. Like you're making it look real bad. I'm like, yes, coach. Whatever you say. So took a lot of time, but yeah, that's not a fun wall to play behind.
I want to rewind a little bit, because it's the reason you're here. The great Nate Yeskie, greatest assistant coach in college baseball, has been for quite some time. But you played for, arguably one of the best college teams ever assembled. A lot of big leaguers from that team. What was that like in Corvallis, being at Oregon State, the peak of Oregon State baseball, playing with all those big leaguers? Then you get into the big leagues and you're a Rookie of the Year finalist alongside Adley Rutschman, guys like Trevor Larnach, Nick Madrigal. And I can imagine it was probably pretty fun stepping out on the lines every Friday night in Corvallis.
100%. I'm glad you brought that up too, because I love bringing up old war stories. I think there was a tweet from like D1 Baseball that was like shouting out the best college teams, and we got our 2017 and 2018 team shouted out, which was cool. And like the most like probably most cliche way, like I feel like every game we went out, we were expecting to win. We had the pitching to back it up. We had the hitting that could go deep in a game. Like we just top to bottom, I feel like we were so talented, and at least for me as a player, that was the best place for me to develop, because I was a small fish in a big pond. Those guys were highly touted right out of high school. They performed right out of high school. It took me a year and a half to really kind of get my feet wet and really start producing with the team. I just learned so much from those guys. They were great brothers to me, great baseball players as well. A lot of my game comes from Nick and Adley and Trevor. It was a lot of fun. It's cool that we're still in touch as well, but like you said, it couldn't have started without Yeskie. He was the one who recruited me way back when. So I have him to thank for all of it.
That was interesting. Tyler was telling me that so at Oregon State, different coaches had different territories to recruit. It wasn't necessarily a pitching guy would go look for pitchers, a hitting guy would go look for hitters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was in charge of Northern California, and it was funny. He took me up for the official visit, and he was the one vouching for me. Talked to the head coach, Pat Casey. They give me an offer. I go into the hallway, and then Yeskie likes telling me this, but the head coach saw me at 5'7", 150, and he's like, "Are you sure about this kid? Like, you better be right." And then Yeskie's standing up for me, and he's like, trust me, this kid's for real." And he's like, "You better be right." And I didn't know this until after I got drafted, but he really stuck his neck out for me, so I appreciate that.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was talking to him on the way over here. He said the same thing, that him and the head coach sat you down. He gave me 5'6", 145, but we'll give you 5'7", 150.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
He said you walked out in the hallway. You were like, "Yeah, I got to go ask my parents if this is all good." And he said the head coach looked at him. He's like, "Are you sure about this one?" And Yeskie said, he was like, "He's going to be a big leaguer." Like he knew you were going to be a big leaguer, saw that in you. which is crazy. But I mean, that series in itself, me being in high school, college baseball was what we all wanted to do. Watching that series against Arkansas, it's one of the most, for them, infamous plays. From your view, kind of talk about that, the Arkansas triangle, that ball drops, it gives you guys life because they were, 2 feet away from closing the deal.
Yeah, I mean, so that World Series is when I started pulling my hammy pretty good, and I was trying to do everything I could to get back into it. So I was checked out completely. I played the first game, pulled it again, and then I was out for the rest of the games. And that second game, I'm on the bench trying to do rehab in case, something I can get my way into the game somehow. But I just remember we were just getting beat down the whole game. We lost the first one, obviously, and the second one we're just getting shut out or whatever. 1 run through 6, 7th inning, 8th inning, they're up, 9th inning comes, and it just felt so deflating. We had no momentum going at all, and saw the ball go up, and I mean, at least for me, I think other people will be like, we thought we had it the whole way, and I'm like, I thought we were done. Like, saw the ball up, that's it. The stadium's 80%, I would even say 90% Arkansas fans. So the place is going crazy already. Oh. And then the ball dropped, and then everybody looked at each other. The stadium goes dead silent, and then I can confidently say, like, at that point, it's like, that's eerie. Like, something's about to happen after this. And then obviously it took off from there, but the energy shift immediately. And I want to say it was Yeski who just started screaming, and he's like, this is it, boys. Like, it's happening. And then, it happened. But so that was really cool. But up until that point, I was like, that's it. We're done.
I'm sure Corvallis was on fire when you guys got back from winning that thing.
Oh, it was electric. It was electric. I mean, I don't even know if I remember it. I pulled an all-nighter after we won it. I was hurting the next day. I was just trying to sweat everything out. Those couple days were blurred. It was kind of a bummer because that was obviously after the draft happened. So after we had won, some of the guys immediately went to the affiliates. So we really couldn't enjoy the win with the whole team. Guys were getting ready to start their career. So that was kind of a bummer. But, I mean, Corvallis has always been special for us, and it continues to be special.
When you're on those teams, did you know that many big leaguers, I guess that many guys would pan out in the big leagues to the extent that they have?
I think so. I think I kind of have to say that too, as to be a good teammate. But I truly thought so. I mean, Adley was the guy ever since he was, in middle school. Trevor was our best hitter at that point. Nick was always on base. Like, those were the kind of guys that was like, these are slam dunks. Like, the only thing that's going to prevent them is an injury. And then we even had, Drew Rasmussen. We had Brandon Eisert debut last year for the Blue Jays. Like, we just had a bunch of guys that just made their way. So, not to the extent that it was at, but you definitely knew that there were some slam dunk big leaguers that ended up doing it.
I just remember you had just left. My freshman year was 2019, so Rutschman was still there. I was at Arizona, and we went to Corvallis my freshman year, and Oregon State was taking BP, and there's no, like, the locker room was down, or we would just get ready down by the bullpen at the end, so we're all just in the dugout, and our coach had to tell everyone in the dugout to get down to the bullpen because everyone in the dugout was just, like, jaw dropped watching Rutschman hit. He would just switch back and forth, righty, lefty. Yeah. Like, what is going on?
Tanks all day.
It's so simple. He just has his dry reps, and he just hops in there and stone cold face, nothing, no smiles, anything, and hops out, and it's just like another day at the ballpark. He's special for sure.
Comes that easy to some guys.
Must be nice.
So going into this year, before we wrap it up, what can the Cleveland fans, because there's going to be a lot of them watching, Stephen Kwan, Corey Kluber, 2 Cleveland greats, what can they expect out of Cleveland this year heading into 2025? What's the identity going to be? What can they expect from Stephen Kwan?
I guess from me at least, you're gonna get the same thing. I need to stay healthy. I mean, that's a contract that I signed up for. I need to be available for all the games, and I want everybody to hold me accountable to that. In terms of what to expect for the team, I think we'll see what comes in spring training. The identity is always gonna be the same. We're gonna have to play extremely fundamental baseball. We're gonna have some great pitching. We just got to piece it together. I believe the front office is gonna probably make another move or two, and in the moment, it's always like, oh man, like that's a crazy move. But then down the line in October, it's like, no, they couldn't have done it without that one move. So still waiting for that one move that I'm sure is going to happen. And then I think from there, it's just going to be hard-nosed baseball, Stephen Vogt baseball, guards ball, like they always like to say it. But I'm excited. It's going to be another good year, build off the success of last year, and hopefully we're going to do the whole thing this time.
That's awesome, man. Well, thanks for joining us. Look forward to another great season from you. Like you said, hopefully a very healthy season, and Best of luck.
I was going to add one
for sure.
thing. If you guys need any late innings chewed up, Corey is a free agent.
No.
So
I'm uninterested.
bring him back to
Hey,
Cleveland.
we're ready. I'm not hearing that.
Uninterested.
It doesn't matter what you want. We need you.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Stephen Kwan, 3-time Gold Glover, Cleveland Guardians, Casa De Klub. Appreciate you, man.
It's the price of admission on the Casa De Klub.